Good morning.
Good morning, Charla.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good, and how are you?
Doing well. Let me just set up this presentation real quick. All right. Well, we'll give a few more minutes and let everybody hop on.
Okay.
Do you have any questions so far, Carol?
Now I made it. I'm glad because my internet was really bad that day, last meeting. And I took a look on the handbook and all the material. And I have only one question. Can we choose our roles on the committee? Or
Yeah, so we'll be talking about that today. We'll go over some of the roles that are available and then talk about kind of next steps, because there's going to be one more webinar that our past cohort's working on that should be finished up this fall. And then we'll be handing kind of everything over to you. So you guys still have a couple more months of onboarding before some of us leave.
okay. Yeah.
So we'll help you along with the process.
Okay, yeah, I was a bit lost, but I think with the time I will be used. This is new for me.
Let's see, where do I want to put you guys? Oh, what's this? Oh, I like this hall. Hi.
Hi, Chala. Hi, everyone. I like this. I like setting.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's great.
That's nice.
I am going to record this because there was a couple people who had emailed me and said that they couldn't be here but still wanted to get this information. And since it's still kind of orientation and preliminary information, I thought it was a good idea. So please make sure to turn off your camera if you don't want to be recorded. Just give a couple more minutes and then we will start the presentation. All right. Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank everyone for deciding to join the executive committee and continue on what I hope will be a legacy of practitioners and scholars who promote participatory mapping, and hopefully we can increase the implementation in local communities that are usually underserved by providing opportunities to learn about, discuss methods in participatory mapping. Let's see here. I just wanted to go around and do quick introductions again. Some people are going to be new to the morning groups and they're going to switch between the morning and afternoon. We are going to have an all-member meeting, I believe on the 17th, and hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit of cross-pollination between the morning and the evening. But given the feedback that I've got from new executive members, is there's still going to be a need for having 2 meetings once a month because of time zone issues. So let's just go around and begin with what's your name, where are you located, and how do you use participatory mapping in less than a minute. So I'll just begin. My name is Charla M. Burnett. I am currently located in Lansing, Michigan. I work for the Global Ideas Program at Michigan State University, coordinating international development research. And I use participatory mapping for a lot of different reasons and for a lot of different ways, but particularly to empower local organizations, grassroots organizations find near free GIS applications to be able to do volunteer geographic information and be able to analyze that information to help reach their policy advocacy goals. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass it to the next person under me, Abigail.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Abigail Derby Lewis. I am located in Chicago, Illinois. And the way that we use participatory mapping within it's called the Keller Science Action Center at the Field Museum. It's a center that is focused on conservation. So it's a very kind of specific role that participatory action research and participatory mapping has played over the last 20 years in the geographies that we work in. And that's mainly in the Andes Amazon region in South America, and then in what we call the Chicago Wilderness region on stateside in the Midwest. And the work that's been done has really been focused on local communities to empower voices, to bring their values and concerns and interests to the forefront of conversations with regional and often, in the case of South America, national governments in the development of management plans, park plans and national park management. So the work that we do stateside is a little bit different, and it's focused kind of within our urban centers, really on environmental justice, social justice, and increasing quality of life within these communities in the ways that we can bridge to greater and larger conservation goals for the region, but kind of always first and foremost driven by communities and what it is they would like to see, what kind of green spaces make sense to them, what are the values and interests that they have for the natural areas that depend on them.
Thank you for sharing. Monty?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for some who are already probably, kind of in eastern kind of part of Indonesia. I'm Alberto Sadi Pramono, but you can call me Monty. I was the vice president, but not really active. For the kind of the previous terms of office, and I'm from Indonesia. I'm a researcher and also a consultant on participatory mapping, working on mostly with local indigenous communities, and also a few years ago doing kind of a large scale participatory mapping for village boundary setting. And so so what I've done from small kind of one committee and kind of big large area and for mapping. So hopefully that we can I can share more about with this with others in this in our organization. Thank you. That's all probably. Thank you, Shadrach.
Yeah, thank you, Monty. Next in line, I have Carol.
Hello, it's nice to be here. My name is Carolina, or Carol. You can call me Carol, everybody does. And I'm currently located at the São Paulo University. Actually, I live in a small city close to São Paulo, 90 kilometers far from São Paulo. But I work at the São Paulo University since 2016, actually, and doing participatory mapping there. I did my postdoc there at the School of Public Health, and now I am a researcher at another department, the Energy and Environmental Department. And I keep researching the application of participatory mapping in social environmental indicators in urban areas like São Paulo, metropolitan areas mainly. And I also do some support to academic participatory mapping projects from students, grad students, masters, or PhD students, that because they need a lot of supervision on that, and we don't have the participatory mapping references and also researchers working with this topic here currently. And I also lead an initiative called Comunidades Vivas, living communities, that is responsible to disseminate the concept of participatory mapping, materials, courses, and projects. Mainly that. Thanks.
Thank you, Carolina. I have next, and please let me know if I mispronounce your name, Shadrach.
Yes, good afternoon.
We're just introducing ourselves, where we're located, and how do you use participatory mapping.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon all. My name is Shadrach, Dr. Shadrach Murimi. I'm located in Kenya. I was working in Nairobi, but now I'm in the coastal town of Mombasa. The next question is, how do you use participatory mapping? Okay, I use participatory aspects of mapping at two levels. The first one is a participatory rural appraisal, going out in the field, meet communities, mostly farmers who are doing irrigation. And we did that a couple of years back in Kenya, on the eastern part of Mount Kenya, and also in Ethiopia. I did a 3D participatory mapping with Giacomo Laboldi at a place called Teresho in Ethiopia. Should be 5 or so years back. And also in Lake Pagani Basin in Tanzania, mostly getting out to meet the communities, but introducing the aspect of geospatial techniques in mapping, that is incorporating satellite remote sensing, GPS, that is the global positioning system, and then analyzing this kind of data together with mapping for visual presentation on maps using QGIS mapping software. It's my brief introduction.
Thank you. Welcome. After Shadrach, I have, is it Fayes? Did I pronounce that right? I'm really sorry. Akir.
No, you have pronounced it right. My name is Fayes. Bakir, good morning, everyone. I am here in Ottawa, but I work with youth in Pakistan, and we work on issue of water management. In Pakistan, there are 4,000 clean drinking water supply scheme established with hundreds of millions of dollars of loan from Asian Development Bank, which are dysfunctional. So we use water mapping for engaging the community and activating the government to restore those schemes. And our vision is that water management is water mapping and water measurement. So we use mapping to sort of create documentation where things are going wrong, why they're dysfunctional, to engage the communities if they're willing to have meters installed so that they only pay for the water they use. And that way, we want to restore them the work has been started. We work with the largest microfinance network in Pakistan and a university. Thank you.
Thank you, Fayez. Indra, Sharon.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Indra Saran KC. I'm in Kathmandu, Nepal. So in my first meeting, I was suffering from COVID. I have recovered. And I would like to give you 3 projects that I was involved and also involved. Right now, I'm continuing with those programs, some of those programs. Number 1 is mapping of all the rural settlements in Nepal, and then the service delivery in those locations. That was for improving local governance and making an information system available for decentralized development planning by the local authorities and using that information at the National Planning Commission for the policy level decisions. Number 2 is I worked with USAID Nepal and developed a system to map and monitor those thousands of locations of the USAID activities by involving those implementing partners. There are several implementing partners implementing those programs in several places, putting all that information together for making decisions by USAID in terms of where those programs have reached the place where they should be reaching, and assess different activities in different geographical locations. For example, during earthquake and the regular programs in regular zone of influence of USAID, the resources flow from that to another zone. So how that is taking place to monitor those type of activities, we use participatory mapping. The third one now I'm developing, already experimented for 1 year. Now it's evolving, is mapping the property of the farmers in rural areas by engaging the farmers themselves to identify their property, delineating them and assessing the production and trying to evaluate how much production would be needed for the youth to stay in the villages, because there is lots of migration from the rural communities in Nepal. So is that associated, related with the ownership of the land, amount of land, whether there was enough land to work and produce food. So those kind of information to support local government in making decisions for improving the productivity of the farms. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael? Mike?
Hi. Yes. Good morning, evening, night to all places. My name is Mike McCall. I'm actually working in Mexico, in a city called Morelia. Now. Currently, though, I'm actually working from the Netherlands. My basic place in my life is. Previously, I'd worked for many years in another place in the Netherlands, ATC. Focused on mapping, but mostly technical mapping, etc. That's Tanzania for. I work. Well, I do research and reviews. Because of Dutch, I teaching in participatory mapping. GIS. So when we do case studies or field studies or field is or urban. As I say, we do teaching as well. Actually, Carol was in part we had. So when we're working with local communities, it can be in many different sectors. Depends what their interests are. So we're looking at terminology, best facts or values. Spatial.
Cutting in and out a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Connection might be a bit.
Okay. Okay, what I'm saying is we work in rural and urban communities, both depending on where the interests are and depending on what the interests of the community are. Spatial information, local spatial knowledge. So it might be land claims, particularly with indigenous groups, is like, or with some other rural group, is to claim the land against somebody, some things. Resource claims or resource management. So it might be to protect or natural resource management. Disaster risk is a very common issue for people who about urban areas. It's often security, and we're doing more. Well, we do quite a lot of gender-based mapping, or feminist photography, and then security and good use or proper use of cities. Part of that, and the final one would be cultural issues. History, cultural history, including how mapping might be used in archaeology and by groups for their cultural history. So it's a range of different things. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. So today we're just going to go over, I did send these documents, but I just want to make sure that certain points about them we're all in agreement. So nobody comes back later and says, oh, well, you didn't tell me these things. So the first is, and I'll be sending this presentation out to everyone as well, and all of the links back to the original documents are there. So please take a look, and you will be receiving access to our Google Drive after today as well. So please take some time to look through the documentation we have there. But in our bylaws, it's a 4-year tenure. The reason why it's so long is because there's not really much required of you. And so we want to keep a longer term so that we're building stronger relationships in this field. Excuse me. There are required monthly meetings. We meet on the first Tuesday of every month. We have one meeting at 9 a.m. and one meeting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go by Robert's rules, but to be honest, we don't vote about much. We all kind of know what our objectives are and are in agreement of what needs to be done. We do spend a lot of time critiquing language and any of our written materials and sending each other feedback in that way when we design anything out for ISPM, but there's not a lot of voting. We're usually pretty manageable. But if you do have to vote something, it's Robert rules. If you're not familiar, it's a very standard way of decision making. So please go ahead and just Google that. We do also require 2 to 3 webinars per year. This is done with 1, 2, or 3 co-hosts. And you can have a single guest or multiple guests and have a panel format, but the goal is to explore some element of participatory mapping, whether it's regional, cultural, or specific socioeconomic factors, or urban areas versus rural areas. The topic can obviously fluctuate and change to the interests of the hosts, or you can also ask the membership what they're interested in by sending out questionnaires on the Mighty Network. Does anyone have any questions today about the bylaws, if you were able to get through those? Does our mission seem fairly clear in what we're mandated to do?
I just have a quick clarification. So 2 to 3 webinars per year is the commitment that each individual makes to host?
That's the entire team. So you should only have to host 1 or 2 webinars per 4-year term.
I see.
Is the goal.
I was thinking that's a lot of webinars each year. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's everyone on the team. So there should be, I think you'll have roughly 20 members. on the new executive committee. So between everyone, it shouldn't be more than 2 in that 4-year term. And we broke it down like that because this isn't like kind of very informal. We don't have a lot of operational budgeting. And so we both want to commit ourselves to something that's manageable. And we had a lot of trial and error about what we could and couldn't handle. And so this is a result of 4 years of learning what's easily manageable for a team this size internationally. Are there any other questions? Yeah, Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, well, we had one webinar. As far as I know, that's the only one we've had, and that presumably is on record somewhere.
Yep, it's on the Mighty Network.
Yeah, so people can have a look at that and see how it went. I mean, that was the first one, and the experimental one, so the format might change slightly. And yes, I think that one thing about that one, that the format should have allowed somehow more time for the audience to raise questions and get involved in a different way of doing it. But apart from that, I think it went pretty smoothly. So.
And it definitely had a major impact. In that time, we got 35 new members to our network just from the webinar. And so moving forward, we're going to have one in collaboration with all of our new executive committee this fall. So you can kind of see how we're doing it when we hand it over to you. But it's fairly well outlined in the handbook as well. And so hopefully we're going to get some fresh ideas. I believe that this meeting coming up in the fall is going to be on Indigenous rights. So where we have several organizational leaders that are working on Indigenous land tenure rights in some capacity. Are there any other questions about the bylaws? And thank you so much for bringing that up, Mike. I can show you where the recording is of the last webinar so that you can watch that and kind of get a general idea about what we'd be looking for. So there is a handbook. It's fairly detailed of kind of step-by-step what we do each year, but also links back to our social media accounts. So we have a Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We would love for someone to take this over. Traditionally, we've kind of did like take over ISPM's Twitter handle and rotated it out between us. So that's something that we would definitely suggest so that it's not falling all on one person. During the times for which we're getting ready for a webinar, if you're hosting the webinar, it is your responsibility to also be posting on the social media networks to let our members know and the general public know about these opportunities. So if you're not familiar with Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, please let me know and I can give you a tutorial and set you up with the account if you're going to need any technical assistance with that. For the webinars, we do put them live on YouTube and Facebook, and then we put a copy of it back onto the Mighty Network. And so we've created an archive course that's just going to be all of our webinars. And what's nice is in the network, then our members can comment on them. We can share resources and ideas about the topic directly in the online management tool. And that will allow us to continuously be updating the content and having dialogue. I wonder why this didn't come all the way up. So we have emails that we send out to different departments. We spent our first couple of years creating a master list of university departments in geography and GIS. And so we do send emails out to them that they share with their students and with their faculty. And we usually use MailChimp for that. And so we'll talk about whether or not we need to have a tutorial over MailChimp as well. This is supposed to say Google Drive, but it didn't update. But we do have a drive. That's where all of our documentation goes. When we're updating any type of documents, we do it collaboratively. And so we'll create a document in our folder and begin working on it together, tag each other in it. This is also where our meeting minutes usually lie as well. So the secretary will create an agenda and schedule the meeting. And then, so does anybody have any questions on the handbook right now, or have any requests to review any of these specific functionality in a meeting at a different time? I can do a presentation. Great. And again, the links back to these documents are directly in this presentation. So when I send it out, you can find them that way as well. So the Mighty Network, the reason why we decided to invest in Mighty Network is because of its relatively low cost of hosting, as well as its capability as an online learning management system with its courses. We just started using this network in the last year. And so we just renewed our account for a second year. So you have it for a full year from now until July of next year. The total cost is $975. So you do have a fundraising goal of that year. And you can actually fundraise directly inside of the platform. So I'm just going to do a quick little review. If everyone is on the network, correct? Perfect. So essentially, when you come to the home base, it's like any other Facebook social network. It has a timeline. People can post about themselves or about different things. What's nice is when the host, or you as a host, because you're all going to be made hosts or moderators, when you post something, you can send it out and it gets emailed, and a push notification gets sent to all of the members directly. So then you don't have to go outside of email and email everyone. It'll send that email directly. You'll also see featured content. So we get to choose as the hosts what is featured here. The Mission Catalyst is a special group where donors get access, and there are different plans based off of their contributions. So they can choose how much they would like to submit. Let me see. This is what it looks like. So they would try for free, and when they clicked on, I guess I can't do it because it's not going to let me the way I am. But if you click on Mission Catalyst, it'll pop up. It'll ask you to donate either 25, 50, or 100. And the goal would be to drive people to this space, and we can also host different types of information here specifically for donors, and they will get updated when our next fundraising event is, etc. There's also the availability for all of the members to create events. So not just our hosts, but our members can also share their events here, and that will go out to the rest of our membership. So if your organization is working on an event that has to do with participatory mapping and it's open to the public, you can come here and post it, and it will be emailed to all of our membership. And so you'll see that there are topics, and for every post you make, you can assign it a topic. This way, when someone's looking for a specific thing, they can see all of the different posts associated underneath that topic. So that's kind of how it becomes a living library with an archive. It also has these committees, and so we have our journals hosted here. And then you'll also see there's one specifically for the executive directors. So if you have something that needs to go out to the members, you can come here and you can post it, and it'll ask you to send a message, and it will send an email out to all of us in response. So if you need to communicate with just us, you can post something here, or you can send us by chat. So if you have a question, please feel free to just post it in the chat to the board, to the executive committee, and we will get back to you as soon as possible with your questions, because it'll email us and send us a push notification when we have the app on our phones. We also have workshops, and in here you'll see the Storylines webinar series. So all of the webinars will be here. We also have several other ones that are being built currently right now. And if you're interested, you can also contribute your content here. So I have a class that I teach at Participatory Mapping here in Lansing, and we just recorded it. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to add my recordings to here and build out a course and just contribute to the library so people can come and learn more. We also run a glossary of resources and terms. And this is so anyone can go ahead and view, where the different listservs are. We have publications. I like how this is just named my bibliography, but I didn't make this. I made this, but I didn't make that. This is a table of all of the different publications that I could find on participatory mapping. And I went through, and for most of them, I categorized them underneath methodology, case study, specific types of topics. So please do use all of our resources in your research. We want to be able to provide all of our members with a comprehensive database on participatory mapping. So if you think that there's different software and tools that need to be added, different more publications, we offer this up to our membership. If you would like to generally just message and have a conversation with everyone, there is a chat feature to do that. You can just click here and you can say hello. And this is our network. I definitely suggest you take a look at it. You're all going to be made moderators and invited to the ISPM Executive Committee organization after today. So please let me know if you have any questions. Do you have any questions as of right now on the Mighty Network? Mighty Network has a comprehensive database of step-by-step tutorials. So if there's something that you can't find or it doesn't make sense to you, just Google Mighty Networks, and they have a help center that can help you with all of that. You will also see as a host help button, and you can ask them a question directly or find their answers this way. But so far, it's been a very useful tool for us to keep in touch with all of our memberships and keep things interactive in this digital space that we're trying to create. And then for the next part of kind of what we're working on is the International Journal of Participatory Mapping, which is John Corbett's kind of love child for the last year of trying to get it set up and get all of the different contributors together for our first issue. And so he helped to build the CRM system that is going to be used to distribute and gain reviewers for each of the articles. It is going to be an open source space, but you should, once it's finished built and we onboard everyone, I'll send you the CRM. It's really great. I'm taking over as managing editor. This is supposed to say fall of 2021. I'm ahead of myself. Is it 2022 yet? And then we're going to coordinate outreach together. So there will be likely once every quarter, someone from the ISPM Executive Committee will also come to one of our journal meetings, and we'll talk about that more once we decided on roles and how frequently we want to be coordinating in that way. But we're definitely gonna, if you're having an event at one of your webinars and we're having a special issue, we'll make sure that you know that we have a special issue that you can tell all of our members about during the webinar. And so we just want to make sure that we're always in active communication. And you're more than welcome to serve on both. If you're serving on the executive committee, you're more than welcome to become an editor or a guest editor with the journal. If you have ideas about different topics that you would like us to focus on for special issues, please feel free to send me an email or come to one of our meetings. They're going to start back up here once I'm done hosting these meetings and we find the new secretary. Does anybody have any questions about the journal? No? All right. So the last thing I have to talk to you today would be about the officer roles. So last cohort, we weren't very good at these roles. Most of these roles just ended up being me and Marina. So we're hoping that this time around we can get strong interest in taking up these specific roles. So Rudo Kemper is our president. He is going to be moving out of that position. And pretty much just as the president is, you're the figurehead, but you're also the person to facilitate the meetings. So you would review the agenda sent out by the secretary. You would give them the thumbs up. You'd come to the meetings in the morning or the evening. You can maybe have the secretary or a vice president split this role with you. But the goal would be that the president and the vice president would be helping the secretary facilitate the meetings. The secretary would be the person who schedules the meetings, would just be there to coordinate if we get emails or specific questions that need to be added. And they would just make sure to remind people the day before the event that it's going to occur so that everybody has a heads up. The treasurer would monitor the accounts with the president. All you do is just make sure that the Mighty Network is paid for. Otherwise than that, all of the other things we use are free. And then the techs are the individuals who would focus on website development, on making sure that the Mighty Network is managed appropriately. So we're looking for volunteers for these positions. If you're interested, please let me know. If not, we'll have to figure out some way to split the roles, but they're fairly simple and they look great on an academic service resume. So if that's something that you're interested in, please let me know. And then we can move you into those roles and us slowly leave them. Does anybody have any questions?
One quick clarification. I'm sorry if I missed this. Are the roles commitment for all 4 years or do they rotate annually?
They're for the 4 years usually, but if that is something that they want to change and there wants to be some sort of rotation, we can also talk about making an amendment to the bylaws. Any other questions? All right, well, I'm surprised we got through this very quickly. I think in our next meeting, we're going to be focused on what the webinar after this fall is going to look like and how the fundraising strategy is going to be implemented for the Mighty Network next year. So if you, like I said, I'll be sending you an email with access to our Google Drive. There's like lists of people we've reached out to. You'll find some copies of emails. You'll find all of our past conference information because we used to help host an in-person conference. And then we were just realizing that it was still perpetuating a lot of inequity for people who really wanted to participate but couldn't. And the cost was just simply too high for a lot of people. So we've forced, we kind of pushed so that everything is now virtual. And then COVID happened, so it actually has worked out really well that we were already on this pathway. So please feel free to email me or anybody else on the executive committee with questions. And for those of you who said that you're interested in the journal, I'll add you to the journal committee on the Mighty Network so that you get the updates about our next meeting so you can join, okay?
Thanks.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And I will also be recording the afternoon session. So if you, it's just going to be a repeat, obviously. But if you want to rewatch the beginning, at least to get to know some of your other committee members, I would certainly suggest that.
Thanks, Jonna. Thanks
Thanks,
for
Mike.
very clear
Are you in
Oh,
Mexico?
yeah, thanks
Are
for that.
you in
No, I'm in Holland
Mexico?
at the moment.
Oh, you're
I'm
in
in Holland
Holland.
at the moment, going back in a couple of weeks' time. Back
Well,
to
safe
Mexico.
travels.
Thanks. It's difficult, yes.
Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Bye.
All right. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.